Hello and welcome to Off My Bridge. My name is Guy and today we are continuing to develop the Borg campaign that I started in a video a couple weeks ago. Now, if you haven't watched that video, go have a look at it. However, this adventure is an interstitial adventure. It is an adventure that sits between our main campaign adventures. And so what that means is that this video is useful for you to watch whether you're interested in the Borg campaign or not, because planning out an interstitial adventure is critical, and I cannot emphasize this enough. It is crucial to the Star Trek Adventures 2 gaming experience. And the reason for it is these interstitial episodes are what, in my opinion, makes the Star Trek franchise such a powerful, wonderful franchise. And they've been doing it since the 1960s. And it came about because of the way in which Star Trek used to be made and budgetary constraints. But we don't have any of that with adventure creation. However, we have the expectation of people who have watched Star Trek for these kinds of adventures. So it makes sense for us to learn how to make them. What am I talking about? Right, let's get on with it. Well, before we do that, I would just ask that you hit that like button or the bell button so you can get alerted when more videos drop, or the subscribe button if you're not yet a subscriber. Okay, on with it. So interstitial adventures are adventures that have nothing to do with any major plot. They are not involved with the main campaign. They are self-contained on the starship or the space station. They are centered in that space, and traditionally they will involve 2 or 3 of the main characters, and the other characters, the other main characters, have side stuff going on or may not even feature at all. So when you're creating this kind of adventure for a Star Trek Adventures 2 game, you have to bear in mind that your main players, your player base, half of them will be involved in it and half of them will be playing SPCs or will have a minor role going on in the background. You need to let your players know, hey, we're going into an interstitial adventure, or hey, this is a personal adventure. So if you are thinking you're going to get lots of spotlight, you're not going to get lots of spotlight. Be happy playing the SPCs. That's why that system is there, so that we can keep all of the players engaged even when they're not engaged as PCs. Interstitial adventures comprise of 2 things, 2 components, generally speaking. There is the PC issue and there is the ship issue. And the 2 are not necessarily connected, although if you're really good, sometimes they actually are connected in a bizarre way that no one can foresee until the end of Act 2 and the twist into Act number 3. Let's look at the PC issues. And there are many, many PC issues. I've got a list here of just a few. These are the top ones that I can think of. And if you can think of more, put them in the comments down below. Let's share and expand our knowledge. Okay, PC issues. What are the issues that could affect a PC on the ship? Well, here they are. A visit. Someone the PC knows is coming and there is trauma, love, desire, or a dark secret involved. For example, father visits and confesses he is a traitor. A message. An old message arrives late, early, or from the future, and the PC must resolve it. Future self, PC, warns of a bad choice that will kill people. A mystery. The PC is involved in a mystery. A murder, a stolen item, a scientific curiosity. Strange particles are acting like intelligent beings. A conference. The PC is hosting a conference for their department on board the ship, hosting the Security Advancement Conference of 2365. A medical issue. The PC suffers a medical issue from an accident, an alien experiment, or an away mission. Suffered massive internal trauma, kept alive on hollow lungs. A psychological episode. The PC is inside their own head because of special or alien events. The universe is shrinking as aliens watch. Now, for this list, you will need at least 3 NPCs to be running around and being involved, and that they need to be linked in some way to the PC. Could be junior officers, senior officers, or, of course, the individual in question. So if the PC is hosting a security event, it needs to be the head of events for security who is someone who's paranoid or who's uptight or who doesn't trust the PC to do a good job. You need a force of resistance, a force of poking the bear, if you will, that will be acting against the PC. Now, if it's a parent and they've got a secret that they need to reveal, the parent could arrive saying, I have to tell you something, and then they immediately get arrested. And then they are cagey about what's going on. It's that kind of stuff that causes the drama, causes the tension, and will cause the adventure to move forward. Now, these interstitial adventures are not meant to take multiple sessions. They are a 4-hour or maybe an 8-hour adventure at best. But what are they doing? Well, in this case, from the PCs being involved, because it's not just going to be one PC. The one PC might be the one who has suffered medical trauma, but it is the other PC who's going to be trying to resolve that medical trauma or work out how to perform the surgery or whatever the situation might be. Now, those two PCs are going to form a strong bond. And that's what interstitial adventures are all about, is this connection that is formed between the characters. And we see this in every iteration of Star Trek, where two characters who may not necessarily always work together are forced to work together because of circumstances, and it is how they work together and overcome their difficulties that forms that great narrative. And if you look at one of the most obvious but most, I think, demonstrative examples of this, it is the relationship between Neelix and Tuvok. And you look at how it started with Tuvok detesting Neelix's optimism and his absolute embracing of differences and noise and volume and curiosity, and how through various episodes where Neelix and Tuvok are forced to work together, that there is this slow and gradual friendship that forms, where by the end of it, it's incredibly touching. And that's what we're looking for in interstitial adventures. We're looking for that character unification that happens through interaction. Whilst 2 or 3 of the PCs are involved in the PC issue, we also need to have the subplot going, the additional thing going on that the other PCs are going to be involved in. Not always, but generally speaking, we do want to have one of these. And these are mainly ship-focused issues. For example, if the PCs are hosting a conference, the actual starship itself is losing power for some unknown reason. What is going on? Well, the conference organizing PCs don't have time to investigate. It's the other PCs who need to investigate. But I've got a list for you of potential sources of ship-based issues that can be running in the background. Now, these could be swapped around if you wanted to, where the ship-based story is the main story and the PC's trauma drama story is the secondary story. That's up to you in terms of whether you feel you need more PC on PC interaction or more PCs falling in love with their ship interaction. Because that's what this ship story does, is it makes the PCs appreciate their starship even more. So here are the things that can happen on board a ship. And again, if you've got more, put them in the comments down below. Spatial problems. The ship is undergoing something because of space. A barium sweep to clear parasites. The ship is stuck on a subspace eddy. Technical problems. Fluctuations in a system are causing minor issues. A virus is spreading through the bioneural gel packs. But this virus does not expand into the macrovirus that plagued Voyager. That is a ship-focused story where the personal stories are the secondary story. Mundane but important. The ship must conclude a survey of a moon or deliver supplies. Vital biological samples must arrive in 3 days. But of course, there's going to be a hitch. Something's missing, something's wrong, something's out of order, there isn't enough paperwork, something is not right. Hosting guests. The ship is hosting a delegation of important VIPs and must keep them happy. The ambassador hates the color red. Avoid showing them red. This is similar to the situation of the PCs hosting a conference. Except the difference here is that the PCs hosting the conference are dealing with an individual and an individual problem. When it's the ship hosting a conference, it's multiple individuals that are causing multiple problems. And these problems are going to crop up all over the place. Just think of that classic TNG episode where you had the two delegates that were trying to kill each other and had to be kept separate at all times. If we take these two concepts now and we combine them together to create a single episode, this is how the episode might look. Act 1. We select the PC. Let's say the engineer. And let's say we're going to use the engineer Deln from the USS Kent, who is an Orion male. And his mother and sister are visiting. Oh, bum. His mother and sister are visiting. Meanwhile, on the ship's systems are being upgraded. It seems straightforward. Act 2. The PC story, the Orion officer, his mother is being difficult and angry that he joined Starfleet and didn't join the family enterprise of collecting abandoned items. His sister, on the other hand, is sickly sweet and just wants to spend all the time she can with him in engineering, in weapons control, just hanging out and chatting with bro about life back on Orion. Now, the problem with the ship upgrade is that the weapon systems are no longer responding. They've been taken offline, and no one can understand why. It's a pretty simple, straightforward engineering problem, except that it's constantly falling over again. The twist from Act 2 into Act 3, from the PC perspective, is that the PC discovers that his sickly sweet sister is actually stealing technical data about their starship and is the one that is causing the weapons to malfunction. This takes us to the ship systems, where the engineers discover that the ship systems keep going offline because their data programming keeps getting changed as the sister is stealing it. Of course, they don't know that the sister is stealing it, it's just something that's happening. Someone keeps accessing the ship's systems, and we don't know why or how, but it's causing them to reset. This takes us neatly into Act 3, where our PC confronts his mother about her being so cold and says that his life is his own and must choose whether he is going to hand his sister over to the authorities or simply return the data that she has stolen to help restabilize the ship's systems. It's a great moment, and of course, we can include other PCs in this situation. It's not just the engineer who's going to be involved. He will be leaning on his friends for advice and for support, and the sister might be hitting on some of those other PCs, or the mother might be doing that. Who knows? Now, of course, in the ship upgrade, the rest of the team discover that the access point happens to always be the chief engineer, Deln, our Orion officer. But he wouldn't steal the data until they start tracking the movements of his sister and discover that she's been following him all over the ship, and so it must be her. This puts everybody into a final conflict resolution event where the sister has to be arrested. The mother realizes that her son isn't just the coward weakling that he is, but that he stood up to his sister and reported her for doing sloppy work. And of course, the ship has now got its weapon systems back. It's a very simple, straightforward adventure. There is nothing majorly going on in terms of huge plot points. The sister's taken away. She might come back next season. The mother might come back next season. But our chief engineer and the PCs that he's been interacting with will have formed a stronger bond, as will the other PCs who've been trying to figure out what's going on with this tactical system. Now, if we look at it from a how and who is going to be doing what, the chief engineer is the primary focus, and that means the chief of security will be looking into the weapon systems upgrades. So we know that we've got a split like that. So perhaps our chief engineer could be paired with the captain, who's trying to avoid the mother, although that's a bit cliched thanks to Picard and Roxana. On the other hand, perhaps it's the first officer, who is in love with the PC's sister, and so is also blind to the whole thing. that could be really good, that they've both had the wool pulled over their eyes until the very last moment. With the tactical officer or the security officer trying to fix the weapon systems, it could be the helmsman, or it could be the chief science officer, or it could be the captain who's involved. So that you see how it creates a nice division, and for the most part, during the adventure, the two groups will be traveling in parallel. They won't actually ever be interacting with each other, except on rare occasions when they might call a conference to understand what the hell's going on, and for you to ratchet up the tension and to start creating suspicion amongst the characters. It's a delightful little adventure that I think your players will sit back at the end of and go, oh my goodness, can we have no more family members on our ship, please? Our ship's just been upgraded. Give them a little bit of an upgrade to their ship, +1 damage to their phaser banks, or whatever the case might be. Let them feel as if the ship is advancing as well, and you've got yourself just a fantastic adventure. That's it from me for this week, he said, frantically looking ahead. Yes. Next week, what's coming up next week? A request from Grognard Piper. How to create monsters, beasts, and animals in the Star Trek Adventures 2 system. There are rules for it in the book, but there's some things that are not there. And so I look into what you need to do in order to make a super cool animal species for a new alien planet. That's next week. I look forward to seeing you then. Until next time, however, a huge thank you to my wonderful patrons who will get these adventures as part of their Patreon package at the end of every month, of course, and for you for watching all the way until the very end. Until next week, I wish you long life and happy gaming.